So it's my honor to introduce our speaker for the night, Commissioner of Ag, Sid Miller. He's an 8th generation farmer and rancher. He's the 12th commissioner at the Texas Department of Agriculture. He has devoted his life to promoting Texas agricultural and rural communities. Since taking office as Ag Commissioner, Commissioner Miller has brought common sense reforms to TDA. He's an advocate around the world for Texas agriculture, for Texas ag, for Texas-grown products, and Texas-owned businesses. Commissioner Miller graduated with honors from Tarleton State University in Stephenville with the Bachelor of Science degree in vocational ag education. He and his wife, Deborah, have been married for almost 45 years, have 2 sons, 2 daughter-in-laws, and 5 grandchildren. They're active members of the Cowboy Church of Erath County, where Commissioner Miller also serves as an elder. Please help me welcome Commissioner of Agriculture, Sid Miller.
Well, howdy, neighbors. It's good to be back with you. I spoke to this conference about 4 years ago, so hopefully if I tell the same joke, you forgot it already. You know, a little bit about myself, and then I'm going to tell you what we've been doing for you at the Department of Agriculture. But the part I really want to get to is looking down the road and what we've got facing us as people involved in agriculture. As Russell said, I'm an 8th generation farmer and a rancher. Our family came to the United States in 1700, and we've been farming and ranching ever since. And I told my banker the other day, I said, if we can get a couple more good years, maybe we'll get the place paid for, hopefully. I graduated from Tarleton, like Russell said, but I was an ag teacher for 5 years. And I discovered, as I was a FFA advisor and 4-H leader, that our greatest natural resource we have in Texas is not oil and gas. It's our youth, those kids in those corduroy jackets. So we put a big emphasis on getting youth involved in agriculture, because the average age of the Texas farmer and rancher is 59 and a half. So we've got to have some new people coming up behind us, and we've got several programs that help accomplish that. This agency is one of the larger agencies in the state. I oversee a $6 billion budget. That number probably doesn't mean anything to you, but if I told you that my budget is larger than the budget of 31 governors, that's a Texas-sized operation by anybody's definition. I want to commend each and every one of you. I've been a Farm Bureau just about all of my life. I was a former board member at the county level. There is no other organization in the United States or any other state, including Texas, that is more important to agriculture than the Farm Bureau. Y'all are the heartbeat. The Farm Bureau is there at the State House advocating for things like the Right to Farm Act. They're there in Congress fighting for the Farm Bill. You ought to be proud of this organization, because there's none other like it. There's some other good ones out there, don't get me wrong, but nothing like the Farm Bureau. So you can give yourself a hand for that. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my wife. I'm corrected. We've been married actually 46 years, and we spent our anniversary, Russell, with Reagan and his wife up in Arlington the other night. Kind of unusual. We've never done that before, have we? So anyway, it was a good time. But my wife, I'll tell you a little bit about her. She's kind of the hero in the family. Over 25 years ago, she was a high school counselor, and she came home one day and said, I quit my job. I said, oh boy, that doesn't sound good. What are you going to do? She said, I'm going to start a school for these dropouts, and we're going to get them off the street, and we're going to give them a second chance, because they're just falling through the cracks up here at the local high school. She said, and we're not going to charge them anything to go. So we opened one of the first at-risk high schools for youth in Stephenville, Texas. She later opened a second one in Taft, Texas. It was in a residential treatment center where those high school kids were adjudicated by a judge to go there and get off drugs or alcohol or whatever the problem was. So she did that for about 20 years, and she put everything she had into it, and I can truly say that she was making sure that no child got left behind. Really, really proud of her for doing that. And I travel a lot. I'm gone all the time. We were talking about going to Spain and Europe and London, and I just got back from several trips, and last fall I was overseas. We have an international marketing program, and then I travel around the state. It's a big state, so I'm on the road a lot. And I come home one day, and there was Deborah. I said, honey, you got to do something besides listen to talk radio and watch TV. You need to find a hobby. I mean, you don't have. She put everything she had into those kids, so she didn't really have a hobby. She said, you know, you're right. I'm going to find something to do. I'm just going nuts. So about 2 weeks later, I was in Houston. She called me. She said, you're going to be so happy. I found me a hobby. I just love it. I said, good, baby. What is it? She said, when you get home, I'll show you. So a couple of days, I'll roll in the house. We live out in the country, and I come in the house hollering, hey, baby, where are you? I want to see your hobby. She said, well, come out in the backyard. I'll show it to you. So we went out in the backyard, and there it was. The most beautiful chicken coop I'd ever seen. Man, the wheels started turning. I said, oh, this is great. The first lady of agriculture is a poultry farmer. I can make a campaign commercial with this. This is great. Let's go look at your chickens. So we went over there, and we looked in the coop. She had a young rooster, an old rooster, and one hen. I said, come on, honey, you know better than that. You're a country girl. You know that's not going to work. I said, get rid of one of those roosters and go get you some more hens. She said, oh, no, you don't understand. I can't figure out I can't understand. She says, I said, what? What is it? She said, that hen needs both those roosters. I'm thinking, why does that hen need both those roosters? And she said, well, you see that old rooster? I said, yeah, what about him? She said, well, he travels a lot. He's gone all the time. Oh. Well, I got the message, so from that point on, I usually just take her with me everywhere I go. She couldn't come tonight. She had some major surgery. She's home recuperating. She sends her best. Now, looking in the rearview mirror, kind of what we've been doing for the last couple of years, at least since I've talked to you. Under this administration, I've been spending a large amount of my time fighting federal overreach. I've sued Joe Biden and Bill Sack 4 times. We've been successful. Well, one of them's still going on, but 3 of the 4, and one's still in litigation. The first time I sued them was it was a pandemic relief for farmers, and we need that. I'm for that. And their ideal, it was just to be a good ideal if you had a USDA loan just to forgive it, wipe it off the books, or if you had a USDA guaranteed loan, we'll just wipe it off the books at 120%. In other words, if you had a $100,000 loan, you just made it last week, they're going to wipe it off the books and give you $20,000. It didn't make a lot of sense, but that wasn't what I sued for. It was how you qualified to apply for this grant. And to qualify, you had to be a minority. You had to be black or brown. White people need not apply. I said, well, that's racist. Every federal document I ever signed is right there on the bottom says we do not discriminate on race, creed, or color. And so I sued, and I didn't sue as the Ag Commissioner. I sued as an individual farmer. I made it a class action lawsuit, and we won that one right off the bat. They didn't even challenge us. They knew that was unconstitutional. The next one, I run the school lunch program, all the nutrition programs for the state and federal government with the exception of a couple. So I'm responsible for 5 million school meals each day. Well, Biden sent me a directive, said, you will adopt our LGBTQ agenda in your schools, or we will no longer feed your children. I told him, stick it. We're not doing that in Texas. So I sued him, and we won that one. And we didn't win it just for Texas. We stopped it across the whole United States, so we're not doing that. Thank you. Thank you. Our department took the lead, along with other state agencies and the Farm Bureau. We sued in federal court over the WOTUS rule. We were the first state to successfully do so. Idaho piggybacked on us, and we won that. And we didn't win it, but we got a stay. And then soon afterwards, other states began winning stays against the federal government. And then the Sackett case came out, and now they're back to the drawing board, and they're having to rewrite the rules. So we're going to win that one in the end too. The latest thing that we're working on, and heading up my legal team, is Carter Page. Carter, where'd you end up? Anyway, he's in here somewhere. He's back there. Is the Endangered Species Act. They have now listed the lesser prairie chicken on the Endangered Species Act, so we're going to fight them on that one. We're going to figure out a way to win that one. We have a marketing program. Some of you are familiar with it. Some of you may not be, but it's called the Go Texan program. It was originally set up to help entrepreneurs, startup companies, mom and pop operations that made really good barbecue sauce or beef jerky or something like that, market their product. And we'd work with them, and we'd show them how to get it into H-E-B or Kroger or sell it on Amazon. But when I came on board, I made a couple of trips overseas, and I thought, man, we're missing out. When I show up this big white hat and this belt buckle and this West Texas accent and the boots, it's just like a magnet. Everybody wants to do business with Texas. So I told my team, we need to launch a global outreach initiative. So we did. In the first 12 months, we were on every continent on the globe marketing Texas, and it's been very easy to do. It's been very, very successful. We now have a full-time office in Argentina representing animal genetics from Texas. It's been very lucrative for us. We send a lot of breeding stock down there, embryos, semen, things like that. We host international groups all the time across Texas. I think during the Houston Livestock Show, we hosted 25 or 30 international groups, taking them out to breeding farms, showing them Brahman cattle, Brangus, any kind of Brahman-influenced cattle, horses, you name it. And we've facilitated several $1 million in sales just from that. Each year we do that. We're the only ag department that now has our own TV show. You can catch us on RFD TV on Tuesday nights at 6. We air it at 7 on Fridays. It's called Texas Agriculture Matters. I've just finished filming our 10th season, so if you hadn't caught that, set your DVR and catch us. I guarantee you know some of those people that are on that show. It's kind of like Bob Phillips' Country Reporter. We just go around the state showcasing the best agriculture that Texas has to offer. Kind of outside the box, I try to think not like a bureaucrat, but like an entrepreneur. I kind of feel like I'm running a Fortune 500 company. So a lot of our Go Texan members, they target the redneck crowd for their products, and they wanted to get involved in NASCAR. That was expensive. I couldn't quite swing that to sponsor one of those cars, but I had an idea. And there was a gentleman from San Marcos right here, had a NASCAR team, and I brought him in the office. I said, Tim, I want you to join our Go Texan program at the highest level. He just laughed at me. He said, why would my racing team need to be a Go Texan member? I don't get the connection. I said, well, we'd like to be part of NASCAR, and if you join the Go Texan program, I have an obligation to market your product. And once you're a member, I've got a guy that'll buy the right front fender. I got one that wants the door. I got one to take the tailgate, one to take the hood, one to take the left, the quarter panel. He said, oh my gosh, every sponsor of my car will be a Go Texan member? Yes. Oh, he said, where do I sign up? So we've been doing that for 6 years. It's the number 22 truck in the truck series in NASCAR. We hadn't won a race yet, but we're getting so close. I mean, it's just any day now. We're going to win one. I mentioned that I run the nutrition programs for the state. That's my largest program. I'm responsible for 5 million school meals each day. When I first came on board, I was trying to get my head around this, and I'd go to those schools, and I'd say, how much local produce do y'all serve our kids? They say, none. I said, why not? Well, we don't know any farmers. We don't have time to go to the farmer's market. It's just easier to buy it from Cisco's or Ben E. Keith. It's cooked, flash frozen. We just thaw it out and put it on that plastic tray. I said, that's the reason you have healthy trash cans instead of healthy kids. They won't eat that stuff. It's awful. It was absolutely awful. So I came up with a program. I won't go into depth on it, but anyway, we hooked the farmers up with the nutritionists, and we have a big conference every summer, and we bring them all together, and we've hooked those up. And then last year, where our schools were serving 0 local products, they bought $65 million worth of locally grown Texas product, cook fresh, serve fresh, no added salt, no dyes, no preservatives, and guess what happened to it? The kids eat it. So that's our Farm Fresh program. We're the model for the rest of the nation. We're now the model for the rest of the nation on the Farm Fresh program. They're trying to replicate what we've done here in Texas across the rest of the United States. We also, I had to go from feeding those 5 million school meals one day to the next day trying to figure out how to feed those kids at home when COVID hit. And that was quite a challenge. We had to get a lot of waivers. That's just permission to break the rules. But we got through that, and we developed the box meal program, which became the model for the rest of the United States. And you know, I have the best job. This is the most fun job you can have. I just thought of something, thinking about those waivers. You don't know half what I get to do. But back during COVID, do you remember when we ran out of toilet paper? Oh, you hadn't forgot that, have you? That was serious. You couldn't find a roll of toilet paper anywhere. So one of my inspectors is over at this big warehouse, not far from here, actually, and he calls me. I said, what is it? He said, boss, this warehouse is full of toilet paper. He said, there's enough toilet paper in here for every man, woman, and child in the state of Texas. I said, what are they doing sitting on it? We need it. He said, I don't know, but this place is full of it. I said, go get the manager. I gets him on the phone. I said, hey, what are y'all doing hoarding all that toilet paper? We need it. You can't find any on the shelf anywhere. He said, well, I can't sell this toilet paper in Texas. I said, why not? He said, well, there's a law in Texas that any retail product sold here, the instructions have to be in English. This is all in Spanish. I said, I don't think I know anybody that needs instructions on how to use toilet paper. See, this is all supposed to be destined for Mexico. I said, I'll tell you what, if I get you a waiver, check with your boss and see if we can get that distributed in Texas. So he called his boss. About 45 minutes I had the waiver and called him back. Boom, the next day y'all had toilet paper. How about that? It's a fun job. Oh. When the COVID hit, our governor decided some businesses were essential, some were non-essential. Some could stay open, some closed. Now, I immediately started getting calls from livestock auction barns, implement dealers. They weren't considered essential. They were going to shut them down. Feed and seed dealers, you name it. So I brought my legal team in, and Tim Kleinschmidt, I don't know where he is. He's my legal counsel. He's in the back, I think, with Carter. They're both my legal eagles. I brought him in. I said, hey, don't I have executive authority over the agriculture code? I'm autonomous from the governor. He can't tell us what to do over here. And don't I have executive powers over the ag code? He said, yes, you do. So I can issue my own executive order? He said, yes, sir, you can. I said, I want you to draft one up. Here it is. I want you to get it out as soon as possible. Any business that is agriculture-related business, or any business that supports agriculture, I'm declaring essential. So we sent that out, and we got trailer manufacturers back up and running, Western stores. Hey, we got to have, wintertime coats and gloves, right? We can't be out there like that. I might have stretched it a little bit, gun shops and ammo dealers and landscapers and florists. Anybody I could think of, we kept them open. So I hope y'all appreciated that. We just went through the legislative session. We had some great wins there. A lot of things were left undone in the legislature, but for my department, we had a really, really, really good session. Finally, we're going to increase our road station inspections. If you don't know what that is, we do border security, not the kind you're thinking of, but when trucks come into Texas, we pull them over and we inspect them for invasive plants, pests, species, to protect our agriculture industry. Citrus greening, fruit flies, you name it. So we're getting to expand that. We're going to about triple the capacity of what we're doing for that now. It was, quite frankly, one of our weakest links. but we will be up and running probably within 12 months in full capacity with that new program in about 24 months. One of the things that's always bothered me is the suicide rate amongst farmers. Farmers and veterans are the single highest form of suicide in the United States. So I kind of took it on myself that I wanted to do something about that. And I looked into it. I found a grant from the USDA for $500,000. And so I wanted to launch, I didn't really want to call it a suicide hotline, but because I wanted to cover depression and everything that, on top of farmers. Y'all got a big responsibility. Many of you are farming that land that's been in your family for generations, and it's your responsibility to make sure the next generation gets it. And then you hit a rough spot, and you miss 2 or 3 crops, and the bank's calling the note, and you don't know what to do. Well, that's what this AgriStress helpline is for. We got it set up, not only in Texas, but I've got it running in a total of 5 states. I'm hoping to get it up running all across the United States. There's the phone number's up there if you know someone. And what's different about this one, and there's a lot of them out there, but none of them are like the one we created. It is different. When you call that number, the person that answers on the other end understands agriculture, and they know what you're going through, and they know the resources that are available to you when most others do not. And it's been a real asset. We've had it running, just about a year. And last count, I think we have talked 60 farmers out of committing suicide since it's been up and running. And we were able to get it refunded during the legislature this time. So if you know someone that's struggling with those issues, direct them to that. It's on the first page of our website, texasagriculture.gov. So keep that in mind. The last thing, and then we're going to look down the road, is we went through Sunset. If you don't know what that is, it's a state agency that reviews other state agencies every 10 to 12 years. The reason they call it Sunset, if they figure out you're not needed anymore, the sun sets on you and never comes up. You go away. So we went through that, and during COVID, it was very, very stressful on my employees. But when it was all over, they called us in for the exit interview with my executive staff. And Sunset told us right there, they said, of all the state agencies we've ever reviewed, Texas Department of Agriculture is the best run state agency we've ever looked at. So I'm pretty proud of my people. That's the kind of people we've got working for you at the TDA. State agencies have really high turnover rates of employees, but I'm proud to announce that at the TDA we have the lowest turnover rate of any state agency. They love you, they love living in your communities, they love what they do, and they're dedicated to your profession. So God bless every one of them. All right, looking down the road, we still got some things to get done. I've been on this for 4 years now, and I thought we were going to get it done at the state level. It failed. It's one of the stupidest things we do, but we have got to stop China and our enemies from buying our farmland and exploiting us. Thank you. They typically buy it next to a military installation so they can spy on our military. They want to put in wind farms, solar farms, so they can access to our grid. It's just not a smart thing. They won't you can't buy land in China, I promise. Not even sure a Chinaman can buy land in China, actually. But that did not get through. It got out of the Senate, died in the House. Ronnie Jackson in Congress and several other congressmen have introduced similar legislation at the federal level. I hope we can get that passed and secure our nation. Sometimes patriotism has to come over profits, and this is one of those times. Next thing I'm worried about is Biden's 2030 plan, or it's sometimes called the 30-30 plan, and that's his plan to idle 30% of the land by the year 2030, take it out of production. And he does this in the name of conservation, but that's not the real reason behind it. And y'all need to listen to this. I think this is more dangerous than the WOTUS rule, way more dangerous, because this is only phase 1. Phase 2 is the 50-50 plan. They want to take 50% of the land out of production by the year 2050. And this is a global agenda. I just had a member of the European Parliament in my office last week, Robert Roos. He's a conservative. He's fighting this, but they're already way ahead of us over there. They have outlawed nitrogen fertilizer. No longer can they use nitrogen. I don't think I could grow coastal hay without nitrogen or a lot of other products. They are now required to reduce their livestock numbers 50%. Dairy cows, beef cows, chickens, hogs, you name it. Got to get rid of half of them. And the government's taken over a lot of these farmers' land that's been in their family for generations. Right now, every 12 days in the Netherlands, where Robert's from, a farmer commits suicide. So I don't want to see that happen here. You know, you don't see this in the news because the liberal media will not talk about it. They don't want you to know about it, and they're pretty smart about it. They do it in the name of conservation. Matter of fact, they just changed the name of it to America the Beautiful. Now, who could be against that? Well, I'm against it, and I'm going to fight for you not to let them the camel's nose under the tent. So be aware of that one. They some examples of how they're doing that. In the Inflation Reduction Act, they changed the wording in your CRP contract. Now, if you don't handle that just exactly right, your land will revert to the federal government. You need to check that out. You need to check with your legal team that we just signed up another 1 million acres of CRP, and it's under this new wording in the contract. So you better watch out. You better watch what you're signing. They're taking away BLM land from ranches that have had it generations of grazing on it. They're using the Endangered Species Act. Obviously, lesser prairie chicken is one of them that affects Texas. Once you have that in place, which it's in place, you can no longer do oil and gas exploration. You can't farm it. You can't run a tractor through there. You might scare a hen off the nest and disturb the environment. So that's very detrimental to farming and ranching. And then the next most kind of inventive way is they want to declare our Longhorn cattle drive trails national treasures. And the plan is to let the National Park Service manage those. So here's some of those trails. They all start in Texas. They go through 109 counties. 56 of the counties are in Texas. And once they get these, and they get this designation, the National Park Service will manage them. So no pipelines, no transmission line, no wind farms, no solar farms, zoning, no construction, no railroads coming through there. They define them, and if you're standing in the middle of the trail and you look left, that's called the eye shed. So it's as far as you can see to the left and as far as you can see to the right. So you need to be aware of this. Most people aren't aware of this, so don't feel bad if you hadn't heard about it, but you will be hearing about it. Matter of fact, I'm going to have a summit on all of these things in September. Maybe you can make it. Like I said, this is a global agenda. It's not just the United States. It's put on by the climate change people, the tree huggers, and everybody that wants to lower the population of the world. Water's another big deal. We got a few things done on water. They were good, but people come up to me all the time and say, "Hey, what are we going to do about urban encroachment? We lose about a farm a week in Texas." Well, we got plenty of land. We're not going to run out. The problem is water. We don't have any more water, so we've got to do a better job of managing our water. We're not there yet, but we will get there. The Right to Farm Act, that is very, very important. It is to me. I know it is a top priority. It's on the constitutional amendment in November. It's going to be a big deal. It passed it pretty easy. The Farm Bureau did a good job in the legislature, but the fight's going to be at the ballot box. We have 4 of the largest top 10 cities in Texas, and they all hate this because they would like to take that farm that's in the city limits that you're only paying about $7,000 taxes on and get it on the commercial roll at about $7 million. So they have a huge incentive not to do this. So we're going to have to fight them. the municipalities, of course, the climate change people, the humaniacs, the greenies, everybody else is going to fight us. Interesting fact, Oklahoma passed this, and they did a poll, and it was going to pass 70 to 19, overwhelmingly. They didn't do enough, and they didn't educate the people, and they didn't get the rural people out. And Oklahoma is much more rural than urban than we are. They lost that 58% to 41 when they did have a 50-point lead. So don't think they're not coming. They are coming. We got a lot of work to do, and we got to get our people out. One of the advantages they have in that November election is the same time they're electing a mayor in Houston. 2.5 million people down there. They may have 750,000, 800,000 people turn out for that mayoral race, and they don't like our Right to Farm Act. Matter of fact, I told Cy and the executive board earlier today, I think we need to change the name of it and call it the Freedom to Farm Act. Who could be against freedom, you know? Right to farm sounds like you're demanding your rights, like you're protesting. But, you know, this country is built on freedom. I just think it'd be a better name for it. We've been busy selling citrus. We upped the citrus industry. We got it to like $3 million, up to about $8 million. We're now in South Korea, in Vietnam, and we'll continue to work on that. And that pretty much brings me to the end. I got a lot more, but I think y'all had about all you can stand. I mean, I fed you everything more than you could probably handle, so I'm going to wrap it up. I'll be around a little bit. My staff will be here. If you've got any questions about anything I brought up tonight, please let me know. And I'm going to leave you with this thought, and you can share it at the family reunion with your city cousins. Without agriculture, you'd be homeless, hungry, always naked, and always sober. Think about it. Thank y'all. God bless you. Good night.